Welcome, everybody. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about three specific programs: the electrical engineering, the computer engineering, and the photonic science and engineering programs. So let's start out by introducing ourselves. So you see us on the screen there. I am Dr. Parveen Wahid. I am the Associate Chair for the PSE department, and I'm also the Undergraduate Program Coordinator for both the electrical and the computer engineering programs. So what this means is that I do all the advising for the undergraduate students and help you with your course selection and scheduling and so forth. Along with me, I have Ms. Charlize Silton-Brown. She is the academic advising coordinator. You will see a lot more of her than you will of me, and she's the one who will be contacting you on different issues related to the department. And we have Mr. Mike McKee, who's the associate director and for the optical science and engineering program. Okay, so let me first give you an overview so you know what to expect from us in this session that we have. This is the first time we are doing it in this fashion. So pay attention, and if you have questions, you can of course always ask us. So what we want to do here is, number one, let you be aware of what you need to do to be successful in your pursuit of your degree, right? So we will spend a little bit of time telling you about what your responsibility is and what you need to do. The second thing is we will point out to you how important it is that you pay attention to your night's email, which is where you will get all the information, which is relevant to you and to your study. Anything that is extracurricular that is going to help you in your, your study here out at UCF. Details about the programs, which is what you're really interested in. That is the three programs: the electrical, computer engineering, and the photonic science and engineering program, meaning what courses you need to take, the sequence in which you need to take the classes, and so forth.
So before we get started with some of the details, one of the things we want to point out is that whether we're on a traditional program or what we're about to go into, and if you're starting over the summer, you're going to be confronted with online classes. But even if it's not online, one of the things that we want to make sure you do is have a very successful time at UCF. So that means that you've got to manage your time. Now, I don't know what manage your time means, but here's what it means to me, is that when you start, what makes this a little bit different than high school is the amount of time you spend in class versus outside of class. So we want to make sure that you're successful and you get as high of a GPA as possible. So to do that, we recommend highly that you create a schedule. So what does this schedule look like if you're going to be taking a typical load of 12 or 15 credit hours? So what's on the screen now is a very typical weekly schedule that we would expect students who are successful. So what's that mean? Well, we recommend for every 1 hour that you're inside a class, you spend at least 3 hours outside of class for a total of 4 hours a week studying. So if you're taking a typical load of 15 credit hours, you should be doing about 45 hours of work a week. So this schedule has got things like electronics 1, probability and statistics, but it also has study time built in, as well as, do not forget, you must eat about 20 hours a week. So you've got to build in that time. And so you want to make sure if you're taking a class like electronics 1, that you're studying about, and electronics 1 is 4 credit hours, you're studying about 12 hours a week. Now, at the end, we also don't want you to graduate from UCF as devastated human beings. So you'll notice that we've also got free time scheduled in here at the end of the week, and this is going to really create a very balanced life. So on this schedule, we want you to put in how many hours you're going to study. If you have to commute to UCF, build that in. If you're working, you're probably not going to be doing a full load, and you'll need to talk to either Charlize, myself, or Dr. Wahid about how we can find a schedule that works for you. And then, as I mentioned, meals, and don't forget, you must sleep. So you do all that and you will be successful, because your goal should be to get as high of a GPA as possible. Now, before you do that though, we want you to make sure that you've got your Knights Mail set up. So on your phone, scan one of the QR codes, and then this is going to take you to a website with directions on how to set up your Knights Mail. It's very simple to do, but this is the legal platform that we have to follow in order to communicate with you. Also, when you get an email from us, make sure you answer it, please, because we're going to have important information, whether it's scholarships, whether it's internships, undergraduate research opportunities, or there's going to be sometimes bad times. We'll have to email you and say, you got to come in and talk to us, but that's going to go to your Knights Mail. We have to communicate with that. So please set that up on your phone and check that often so that you get critical information that's needed. One other thing that you want to do as a transfer student, you're going to have a lot of coursework that transfers in. Now, if you have your AA degree, a lot of things are going to, when you run your MyKnight audit, are going to plus out here at the top. So plussing out, what that means is it satisfies the degree requirements. And when you run your audit, you'll see things like the gen ed requirements are collapsed in this. When there are areas of study, courses that have not been completed, that part of your audit will remain open. And then you can see here, well, for example, this student took EGN 2440 at a transfer institution like Valencia or Seminole State, and then that transfers in as 2032. Now, it turns out, I selected this for a reason. 2032 is also equivalent to 3032. So this course counts automatically. But what you'll want to do is you want to check your audit to make sure that the courses you took at your transfer institution are correctly showing up on the audit, and make sure that the grade appears. If it does not, then you'll need to contact one of us, and then we're going to help you with that. By the time you go to live orientation in a week or so, most of your courses should appear at that time. If they don't, then at live orientation in one of the Zoom chat rooms, we're going to be able to assist prior to getting you registered for classes at that time. Okay, Parveen.
Okay, so we just went over the first very important thing that you need to keep in mind every day while you go through your study here at UCF, right? And that is your goal number one, that is you are going to graduate. You're going to graduate with a good GPA. Follow what we just told you about having a schedule, being focused and disciplined. So you want to graduate with a good GPA, and you want to graduate in the 2-year time or maybe a semester more. The second thing that you really need to keep in mind is doing an internship, right? So internship is almost, like mandatory, even though it doesn't say so on your curriculum. That is what all the employers are looking for, is to see what kind of internship experience you have. Now, UCF is very well set up to help you with, landing an internship opportunity and getting this internship experience. We have the Office of Career Services who will help you with that. Now, the way it works is we have companies that come out to the university once in the spring and once in the fall semester to recruit students to do their internship at their respective companies. So we have put up a slide here where we show you, different names, and these are the companies that come out here, all the big names, small companies from the surrounding areas. So you have a lot of opportunities. So you want to definitely pay attention to this. When they come out here in the fall, that is the best time for you to line up an internship, because you will be doing that over the coming summer, right? Typically the students do the internships over the summer semester. If you're not successful in getting something lined up in the fall, then you can try again in the spring. Maybe a little more difficult to find something, but we are there to help you. Now, 2 things you need to keep in mind. One is that when you complete your internship, you come right back to school and finish your degree. Don't stay on for the longer, like if you go there in the summer, don't stay there for the next fall or the spring or whatever. You'll just fall behind on your first goal that you have set. The second thing you want to keep in mind is when you are doing your internship, quite a few of them, or I think a majority of them, will be from out of state. So that means that in that summer semester or in semester that you're doing your internship, you will not be able to take classes. We are still offering all our undergraduate classes face-to-face. This is very unique, hopefully a one-time experience where we are doing remote teaching and remote learning. So when you're doing your internship, you will not be able to do any classes. Okay, so keep that in mind. One other point we'd like to make to you is about getting involved in undergraduate research. All of our faculty are very active in research. They're doing cutting edge work in these areas. We have grouped the areas of expertise of all the faculty that we have in our department into these 5 different areas. You will see many areas that you may recognize that you possibly would be interested in, like Internet of Things, fiber optics, machine learning, and so forth. So if you're interested in doing research, the way you proceed with that is you talk to the faculty who's teaching your class and let them know that you're interested in learning more about the topic, and you can get involved in their research. And this will help you if you want to go on to, say, your master's degree or PhD degree. One other thing that really is going to help you and that you need to keep in mind is getting involved in student organizations. So we're talking here about the professional organizations. And when we say professional organizations for the program that we are talking about, the top professional organization is the IEEE that you see here on the slide. And this is the largest, as I said, professional organization. It has 400,000 members worldwide. And every university will have a student branch of the IEEE. So you can get involved with the student branch. You also have within the college, you have different organizations. Some of them are listed here. If you go to the college website, you will see the entire list. So depending upon your schedule in any given semester, you can be more or less active in these, but you want to be in some manner involved with these organizations. What it does is it helps you develop your professional and personal, intercommunication, communication skills, how to work in teams, your social interaction. And most of these organizations, the projects that they work on will be some kind of service-oriented projects. So reach out to the community, reach out to middle school students, use your technical knowledge to help the community.
So at this point, we're going to move into talking about major specific courses. If you do not already have your transcripts and your course history with grades, you might want to pause the video now and get those together so that you've got them all in one place. You do want to know how the courses satisfy degree requirements from your transfer institution. This is particularly important if you're coming without an AA degree or if you're coming from a private or out-of-state college, because those will sort of help with your expectations, and then we'll be able to help later at the live orientation. Later on, before you get to live orientation, you will receive a transfer summary report, and then you also want to check on any in-progress grades that are currently underway currently at your institution.
So what we're going to show you in the next 2 slides is what we call the flow chart, showing you the layout of the different classes that you will take in your program. And what we are showing you here are only the required classes, meaning you have a number of technical credit electives that you will take that we are not showing here. So what you have to focus on this screen is, number 1, look at the arrows that we have, and the arrows just indicate the order and the sequence in which you will take the classes. For example, if you look at the first one, which is Calc 1, which is MAC 2311, then it has an arrow leading you to Calc 2, right? So you cannot do Calc 2 without Calc 1, and that's how you go down the entire sheet. What you're focusing on in this flowchart is the course in the middle, which is EEL 3004, which is kind of a gateway to all the classes that you're going to do in your major. So if you look to the left of that course, all you see are your, what we call the engineering core, that is your math and physics sequence. So you need to finish all of those in order to get into that EEL 3004, and that should really be your focus, right, to get into that class. We don't override prerequisites, so you cannot take a follow-up class unless you have completed the prerequisite. You notice the shaded boxes, those are what we call the critical path courses. And those courses all require a C or a better to pass. If you don't have a C, you have to repeat the class. You cannot have a C minus doesn't count. So keep that in mind. There are many students who, who think that with the C minus, they're going to be able to move forward. They cannot. So this is the comprehensive track for electrical engineering. And the next one is the comprehensive track for computer engineering. They look the same up to where they do the EEL 3004. After that, you see that you move into courses which are of course relevant to the computer engineering program, but the layout is very similar for both of these classes. Both EE and CPE students have quite a few courses that they do that are common to both programs. Now, you will also see when you go to our website, what we are calling the tracks in electrical engineering and tracks in computer engineering. For the moment now, you don't need to worry about what track you will choose. You can stay in the comprehensive track. In electrical engineering, we have the 4 tracks like we are showing you here. And in computer engineering, you have 2 tracks, right? All it means is the comprehensive track means we've kept the program without any changes, just the way it has been for many years, since UCF has been around. The other ones, which we are calling the tracks, the communication, the RF, power, and so on, what we did was we rearranged the curriculum so that you do a fewer number of what we call the required classes and do a larger number of elective courses. What this does is that when you graduate, you have more depth in this area that you have chosen to study, and therefore when you go to get a job, you're a little more well prepared to get involved right away with what you're going to be doing. Keep in mind, it doesn't matter what track you choose, you're still going to get the same, either electrical engineering or a computer engineering degree. We would only on the transcript indicate that you have done a track. Again, you have to be very careful because once you choose a track, we will not let you change. So don't be in a rush to take this. Take a few classes till you find out what area you're interested in, and then choose a track. You can only do 1 track, and you cannot change a track once you pick it.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about our degree, the Photonic Science and Engineering program. This is a unique program. Only UCF has got this degree in the state of Florida, and there's only 6 in the United States with this. But here's the problem. We have a huge demand from industry for our engineers. There's a big demand. Now the question is, what on earth is photonics? Well, you all have a device on you right now that is a photonics device, and that is your cell phone that disappears because of my lovely virtual background. But the phone has got a display, which is a very sophisticated display. It also has the camera, which is a sensor that converts light into information. And then it's got a computer chip in it, and the computer chip is layered down with a photonic process. So for this reason, we call this an enabling technology because it's used across a wide range of industries. In the video that's playing right now, it actually has a lot of these applications. One of the applications that we've got that's pretty cool going on in our college right now is there's a group that has developed smart fibers, and these smart fibers have the ability to change colors and patterns. It's powered with a 5-volt battery, and it behaves like normal fiber. They can cut it, they can sew it, they can weave it, but it's the way that it reflects light. And this was funded by the Department of Defense. So obviously you probably go to the fact that, well, if it's funded by the Department of Defense, this would be great for active camouflage. But as many defense-related applications are developed, they oftentimes spill out into private life. So we may one day be wearing clothing that has active fiber that can change these colors and patterns. One of the areas that is rather interesting is that hospitals actually use a photonic device, and they roll into rooms, and then they use UV light to decontaminate the room for viruses and bacteria, which is very relevant right now. And there are even bottles that you can buy that have a UV light of a particular wavelength that you can use to actually purify water if you're going overseas to a place where maybe the water supply is not so safe. So there's even applications in healthcare, and there's a field called biophotonics that relates to optics and photonics. So if you have any questions about this degree, if you're majoring in it, I'm going to be the person you'll be working with for orientation and moving forward. But if you have questions about this major, feel free to shoot me an email, and it's up on the screen here, undergrad@creel.ucf.edu. It very closely parallels the electrical engineering program. So for the first couple years, our students go into an electrical engineering core with, of course, the physics and math first. And you see here that there's a lot of coursework that's like electrical, because we're a photonics program. So the students have to understand how objects and devices generate and use light. And so we're not an optics program where you would be doing things with lenses and mirrors and telescopes and microscopes. So for that reason, the students do an electrical engineering core, and then they get into foundations of photonics. There are about 45 credit hours beyond that in which they specialize and become a photonics engineer, and then they graduate. Our program also has the progress policy you've already heard about, and then all of our students do senior design, just as electrical and computer engineering does. And now I'll toss over to Charlize.
Hello everyone. Okay, so eventually you're going to plan your schedule for registering for your courses. And to help you understand that a little better, this slide hopefully will do that for you. So if students have an AA degree already coming from a Florida public school or university, if you had all of your GEPs satisfied, you'll have your Gordon rules satisfied, your summer requirements, and so forth. If you don't have the AA, that basically means you'll have to do possibly a course-by-course petition, or look at each course to see which requires. If you're going to a private school or out-of-state school, same thing. You may have to do a course-by-course petition for those courses. The other part of the slide just gives you an idea of the equivalency. So if you've taken, let's just say at Seminole or Valencia, you've taken CHM 1045, that's equivalent to for CHM 2045. It also satisfies your requirement for engineering as far as the CHS 1440 for engineers. GEP courses, the STA 2023 statistics, that satisfies your GEP, but you're still required to take the statistics for engineers, STA 3032. And then for EGN 3211, we always get the question, I took an intro to C programming course at another school, will it be equivalent, or what is it equivalent to EGN 30? That is a no. We have no other courses that are equivalent to that right now. And then some other equivalencies for our computer engineers and electrical engineers and photonics. Computer engineering students who have taken COP 2805 at Valencia, I'm not sure it's similar, but at Valencia, it's equivalent to COP 3330. If you've taken EGS 2004 at Valencia, it's equivalent to our EEL 3004, Linear Circuits 1. And if you've taken EGN 2440, that's equivalent to our statistics STA 3032. And so you'll see, you should see all of this on your transfer card. So back to you, Mike.
Yep, thanks. So this is the point where, you know, you've got to make some decisions. There's going to be a PDF that's in the web courses that allows you to organize your course selections for registration. So we've got two slides here. This is for electrical and photonics. There's going to be another one in a second that I'll talk about with computer engineering. But here's what we want you to look at, is that these are the courses that you're going to really start with scheduling. Now, we talked about this critical path. In this case, these are blue. These are the ones that are on the critical path. You want to schedule these first. So when your registration appointment opens up, then make sure you dive in and take whichever class that is next in the sequence. So working down this flow chart, if you take in MAC 2311, cross that off the sheet. 2312, cross that off that sheet. Then if you've taken those two, you can move into 2313. Likewise, if you've taken Calc 1 and Physics 2048, then you can move into taking Physics 2, which is PHY 2049. So you'll just work down the list. Now, if you need additional coursework and you've got everything satisfied, everything is taken, there's nothing else available, then if you have any gen ed courses remaining, and that's because you have not completed the AA at a Florida public institution, so you've got these holes in your gen eds, then you can go back in and use your gen ed classes to fill in. In other words, don't start with the gen ed classes for scheduling. Start with these core classes first. Then anything that still remains in your schedule, if you need full-time credit, then go ahead and fill in with the gen ed courses. Then for the computer engineering, it's a very similar layout. You'll notice that in this case, there's more courses that fall into the critical path. So again, you just start at the top, cross your way down. And then, by the way, we also need to point out that you'll notice that there's these dotted lines. These dotted lines indicate a co-requisite. So you can take differential equations prior to or with linear circuits, but you cannot take linear circuits before differential equations. So you'll notice there are occasions where you see these dotted lines rather than the solid lines that exist on the other flowcharts. One additional thing I want to note is that if you're taking differential equations in the same semester as linear circuits, and you decide to drop differential equations from your schedule in that semester, you are going to be forced to drop linear circuits at the same time, because this is a co-requisite into linear circuits. So, be careful of when you've got these co-requisites, because if you drop one, you will be required to drop the next course that relies on that co-requisite. One additional note is that if you're taking linear circuits here at UCF, you're also not going to be able to take MAP 2302 at a transfer institution or transient at another place like Seminole State or Valencia. Before you enroll in classes like linear circuits, if you're taking this transient, Physics 2, you've got to get these grades back in before you're going to be able to register for linear circuits. So if you have any questions about that, make sure you contact us so we can help you planning, especially if you're going to take any transient courses, so that it doesn't cause you troubles down the road with registration and being able to remain in classes.
This slide is just to give you an idea of all of the courses that require a C or better, your engineering core and your major courses. So that means C- is, if you receive a C- in any of these courses, you have to retake the course. If you receive a C- in EGN 3211, you can't to EEL 3801. That means you have to retake it. Same thing with the photonics courses listed below. Those require a C or better as well. So again, C- is not a C, and you will see, no pun intended, you will see on your degree audit that you will not meet this requirement. It will basically fall below on your degree audit. So a C or better is required in all of these courses, and you can take note of this by writing it down, pausing, but please be aware of that. And then finally, these are just some important points we like to address. One, we mentioned the email, set it up on your phones, and please check your Knight's email account. You will often receive emails from me. I apologize up front, but you will receive a lot of emails, many that are very important, and I ask that you please read them all if necessary. Set a folder aside. I always say this, set a folder aside, Shari Leaf, and put all the emails in there, and then refer back to them if necessary. In addition, pay attention to registration dates and times. I try my best to notify you of these dates and keep you in the loop via email. So pay attention to these dates, because often students miss these dates and then classes are too full and we can't do anything if the course is full to room capacity. We cannot provide overrides. You just have to add yourself to the wait list. So pay attention to that. We welcome you to come see us at any time. If you can't come in, we welcome emails as well. We'll get back to you as soon as possible, but when it comes to scheduling, it doesn't hurt to email and ask us, or come in and ask us which courses go well together, if they go well together, That's what we're here for, to help you out with your scheduling. So feel free to email us or stop by the office when you see if it's open again, and see us regarding your schedule. And then we'll go over that, I believe, later in the orientation as well. And then, as it says, the last one, we'll see you at the live orientation for questions. So have your questions ready. Anything we didn't answer in this video, this recording, feel free to write those down and have them ready for when we are live to talk to you. Location. Here's where we're located. Electrical and computer engineering is located in the Harris building when we're open again. And then Mike McKee for Photonics is in the Creole building. Our emails, sorry, we don't have an email for ECE up there, but you can find that on our website. My contact, Dr. Wahid's contact, and then the Creole email and phone number below there. So again, welcome to UCF. Mike, Dr. Wahid, do you have any final words?
No, but we'll be in contact with you all. You know, if you have any questions, just shoot us an email. Welcome to UCF. I know these are strange times, and we'll figure it out as we move along.
Looking forward to seeing you all soon, and pay attention to all that we told you here.
All right, welcome to UCF, and we'll see you soon.